G'day and welcome to the Peter Montgomery Show. It's great to have you here. Now, I've got an awesome guest lined up for you today, but before we kick off, I just want to introduce you to our sponsor, YMag. YMag is a magazine all about your why you do what you do in business. One of the many great things about YMag is you can submit your why story to be featured in the magazine. You can request to be a feature writer about your business and about your why. And also, this is something I've taken advantage of, is you can secure prime advertising space in the magazine, and it's directed towards a niche audience, which is just incredible. I love it. So after the show, click on the link and go subscribe to YMag. All right, let's go meet our guest today. Well, g'day, Kurek. Welcome to the show, mate. It's a pleasure to have you on.
I'm honored to be here. Thanks for having me, Pete.
So, Kurek, can you just quickly tell us the kind of clients that you're working with? And what I really would love to do is dig back and get your whole story, because it's really inspiring. And I've actually got this thing here. A friend of mine gave me this as a gift, and I've been listening to this for a few years now. I don't think you're teaching on it anymore, but it's called Fire Up Your Life. So yeah, this is just an absolute thrill for me, mate. So yeah, who are you working with at the moment?
Well, I have a private client who is plays with the All Blacks. His name is Timothy Ellison. When I met him, he was with the Wellington Hurricanes, and now he's one of the star players with the All Blacks. One of my clients just directed his first film in Hollywood, $27 million budget, with Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, 50 Cent, and Vanessa Hudgens. He had never directed anything before. That was his dream, and we got him to that place. Another client of mine is a Hollywood cinematographer, and he's doing a $50 million picture in London right now, and won Tribeca Film Festival. I was just coaching some oil executives in Kuwait, which is quite unique, and that was very interesting. But I have some really diverse clients, and one of my private clients is a repeat. He's a property developer. He's done, when I first met him, was turning over like $650,000 a year. Now he's got one deal that he's doing that's the profit's $15 million. So he's rehired me again because now he wants to write a movie script and be in his own movie, because he's already obviously made the money. And so now there's other dreams that he has. And so it's, I love working with my private clients because they are people who stretch themselves to really go, you know what, I want my life to count. I want it to be magical. There's these grand dream goals I have, not small piddly goals, things that they're really going for that inspire people. And they inspire me as I work with them. So it's really fantastic.
That's awesome. So let's dig back and kind of get your story, and then we can sort of find out how you actually kind of some of the stuff you're doing to get these results in these people's lives. So can you just tell us your story, man, about how it started? I'm very familiar with it, but as I said the other day, you sent a copy of your book to me, and I've been reading that, and it's keeping me up late at night because it's just so engaging and going right in depth there. So man, just share your story, and as different points come up that I kind of want to highlight, I might interrupt you here and there, and then we'll pick up the flow as we go.
Sure. Well, Pete, I grew up in Chicago. I was, my mom was married 4 times. My dad was married 3 times. Stepdad was married 4 times, and it goes on and on. So you can imagine the kind of childhood I had. It was quite challenging. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a bad childhood at all because there was a lot of love and connection and stuff, but my mom was an alcoholic. My stepfather was an alcoholic, and they were quite physically abusive. But in its own way, Pete, it's what got me to go after what I do in life, because if I had somewhere to stay that's comfortable, it's easy to stay there. So in its own weird way, it forced me to go look for my dreams. And then after the court took all the kids away from my mom and stepfather, I got put with my dad. At 13 years old, I decided to be an actor. I got on stage. By 18, I moved to Hollywood and started doing movies. Did 38 films, including a couple films with John Travolta and Stallone. And in 1989, I was doing a movie with Chuck Norris called Delta Force 2. I just finished the movie Lock Up with Sylvester Stallone. So I'm on a high. Here I'm doing 2 big budget pictures, 2 major stars that I always wanted to work with and, were idols of mine in their own way. And during the filming in the Philippines with Chuck Norris, I was involved in a helicopter crash where 5 of my best friends died, and my best friend was on fire when I pulled him out of the wreck and given him CPR and went to the hospital. He died in my arms. So it kind of put my life in a tailspin. I snorted cocaine. I drank booze like it was going on style. I had a gun in my mouth every night. trying to pull the trigger on myself, smoking cigarettes, dope. Basically, I was just trying to kill myself. And then one day woke up and realized that I got to change, that I've had enough. And literally gave up cocaine and cigarettes and alcohol abuse and gave all my guns away, not to just people wandering down the street, but, you know, collectors. And my life since then has been about first getting my own life together and learning the skills to do that, and then teaching what I know to help other people. And I've been doing it since really high school in its own weird way, but really professionally since I left the movie industry. And my career has gone through the roof. I took the women's beach volleyball team here in Australia to win gold medals at the Olympics, and the Broncos to premiership. And every sports team I've worked with has won, and now I'm a #1 best-selling author and loving life, living on the Sunshine Coast as a Queenslander with a bad accent.
Yeah, I noticed you do have a slight accent. So listen, man, I want to dig more into those dark years about. Yeah, just what you went through just after the helicopter crash for that 2-year period where it was really dark for you, because there are a lot of people out there that, you know, they're going through their own dark period. And could you just sort of share some of the things that happened at that time, and maybe some key turning points that and how you actually made a decision to go, that's it, line in the sand, I'm jumping over that. So yeah.
Yep. Well, you know, Pete, the thing is that I got caught up in my own story, you know, about how I failed, you know, saving my friends, and how I had survived, you know, when I probably shouldn't have, you know, not like, I don't know where that comes from, but we have that story that we can create, you know, that you're feeling guilty about living, all the rest of those things. And it took me really into a downward spiral, because I just got caught up in the drama of the story. And what I always tell people now is that, you know, whenever we tell disempowering stories, it creates what I call drama glue. You know, it gets you stuck in your story, and it's really hard to break free of it because you're stuck in the drama glue of the whole thing. And that's what I was. And, you know, I then adopted some very inappropriate behavior, because the worse I told my story to myself and to others, you know, about how bad it was and what a failure I am, and why has God tortured me so bad, and blah, 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 you know, that, you know, it just became a downward spiral, and literally had a .357 Smith & Wesson pistol in my mouth every night with the hammer pulled back and my finger on the trigger. And then really one day I woke up, you know, after trying to quit cocaine day after day, night after night, and cigarettes and booze and all that stuff. And I had a very unique thought, which was really that your life is not your own. You know, there's people who love you and care about you and look up to you. Some people, you don't even know who they are, but that doesn't mean they're not looking up to you, or, you know, using you as an inspiration. And I realized that that can't be my legacy, that I drag all these people down, you know. I mean, you know, think about if the gun went off, how my mom would feel for the rest of her life, and my dad and my brothers and my family and friends, and people look up to me and all the rest of that stuff. And I go, man, that's too big of a burden to carry with me, and kind of selfish. So I realized at that moment that you got to get to the place where you finally say, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done being fat. I'm done being poor. I'm done being broke. In my case, it was I'm done using cigarettes. I'm done using cocaine. I'm done. I'm finished. And I went out to my backyard in California, and I unscrewed a broom pole out of a broom, and I held it over my head like a samurai warrior, and then I sliced a line in the sand, and I said, once I step over this, I'm done. And really, Pete, you know, that's a pivotal moment in the transformation of someone's life, you know, because until we say I'm done, you know, and I mean really definitively, it's like being buried neck deep in dog poo, and you've been in it so long, you don't think it stinks anymore. You know, you get complacent. But when you say, I'm done, I can't take this anymore, I'm finished, you really do draw a line in the sand. And once I stepped over that line that I cut in the sand with my makeshift samurai sword, my broom pole, I literally gave up cocaine and cigarettes and alcohol abuse, and got rid of all my weapons, and started working on myself that day and every day after that, because not only do you have to make the decision, you have to be consistent with that decision every day. You have to really be committed to it, and you got to be consistent with it. So every day you're saying, that's it, I'm done, I don't smoke, I'm done.
So what was the moment? Was there one defining moment that brought about that point where you went, I'm done? So you made the decision, but was there one moment that kind of just you went, nah, that's enough? Like, what was happening there?
Well, it was like visualizing, taking, because see, negative energy is much heavier than positive energy is. And so, like if you think about it, Pete, you can have 15 scoops of sugar in your tea. That just makes it really sweet tea. It doesn't taste very good, but it doesn't kill you, at least not right away. But if you have one drop of poison in your tea, it can kill you instantly. One drop of cyanide, you're done. So as you notice, like if you have a wife or a girlfriend or whatever, if you do 20 nice things for her, and then you do one messed up thing, it wipes out all the good stuff you've ever done before. See, negative energy is much heavier and denser than positive energy is. And I just realized that all those people who were trying to lift me up, instead, I was actually dragging them down. And once I got aware of that, that's what really started that change where I said, I just can't do this. It's not fair. They don't deserve it. And I don't want that to be my legacy, that this guy who had promised turned out to be just another sad statistic. And, but there's, Peter, I can tell you there's many things, but it's finding what's called perceived pain. Enough perceived pain in your mind that you go, that's it, I can't go down this path anymore. And you got to make it so dark and so ugly. Think of the worst case scenario that could happen if you keep going with this behavior, and you'll stop because you go, that's too bad for me. That's too big. I can't do that.
So how does that work then? So if you're focusing on so much that it's so bad, how is that going to turn around and then be the prompter to make you make decisions the other way?
Well, first you want to think about what it is you want to change. Be specific on what it is you want to change. Then think of the worst case scenario if you don't change. Like, how much pain are you going to suffer? What price are you going to pay? What are others going to pay? And if you think of the worst case scenario, and I'll give you a great example of this, Pete, is a couple of years ago here on the Sunshine Coast, I was doing a 3-hour program that promotes people to come to my 2-day workshop, my personal development workshop. And I was asking people in the audience, who here wants to lose some weight? And a gentleman in the front row said, yep, I do. And I said, do you mind if I interview you, sir? And I said, yep. And I go, I said, what's your strategy? Well, first I asked, how much do you want to lose? And he goes, 30 kilos. How long do you want to lose it? Oh, 25 years. What's your strategy to lose it? And he said, oh, eat better and exercise regularly. I said, how long have you known that strategy? He said, oh, pretty much my whole life, I said, so why do you think all of a sudden you're going to change? And he goes, well, I'm coming to your workshop, Kurek. And I go, wait. Brown-nosing the speaker is not going to help you in life, right? I know better than that. See, because I have a feeling this is not the first workshop you've been to. Whether it's mine or not, maybe that's the first one, but I guarantee you've read books and you've studied, and you didn't come into personal development. This is your first shot. And he goes, no. And I said, is there anybody you love? And he goes, well, yeah, my 2 twin 13-year-old daughters who are here with me tonight, my wife who's here with me. I said, great. So let's say, sir, that you don't take care of yourself, you don't lose the weight, and you die of a heart attack. That's sad, but you don't really have to worry about it. You're dead, right? No problem for you. And would you mind if your wife got remarried after you're dead? And he goes, no, of course not. I wouldn't want to be lonely. And I said, so she winds up marrying who she thinks is a very nice man. She goes off to work, and what she doesn't know is when she's at work, he's now molesting your twin daughters. But because you being the dad that you are not here anymore, you can't even save your kids. I said, good job, sir. Well, that visual perceived pain was so strong, the look in that man's eyes, he started exercising that night, literally. It hit the button, right? Yeah. And I said, sir, if you think this won't happen to you, you ask anybody that it's happened to, some tragedy, some sick thing that's happened to their kids or whatever, and they'll tell you they didn't think they'd be the person that would happen to either, right? I mean, that's life. And so anyways, about 2 months later, he's at my 2-day program, and he comes up to the stage, and he goes, remember me? And I said, well, you look familiar, sir. Where do I know you from? And he goes, oh, here's my twin daughters. I'm like, oh, my God, what happened to you? Well, he was already 28 kilos lighter.
In 2 months.
And I know him really well now, obviously, and he has not gone back. And his wife goes, man, it's like a whole new person. And also I asked his daughter, I said, well, what do you think of your dad? You know, and they go, man, you know, he's so inspirational and teaching us about goals, and we love hanging out with him. And now he's going to come see us graduate high school and come to our wedding and be there for our his grandkids. And I said, sir, you know, most parents are at odds with their teenagers right now. It's a nightmare for them, and yours are inspired by you. How much was this worth, you taking the action? He goes, man, it was everything, Kurek. And he goes, bigger than I could ever imagine. But man, did you hit that pain threshold for me where I go, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And that's what we're talking about, Pete, is it's not real. No, I'm not wishing that upon him. I'm trying to get his brain to create images where you go, that's it, man. I can't go down that path anymore.
Because that's the thing. I think you've spoken about that quite a bit too. That it's like your brain thinks in pictures, and you need to have those pictures there. So imagined or real doesn't matter. Your brain can't tell the difference. And
well, it actually thinks in movies, Pete.
Okay,
it's better, and then it adds two more dimensions to that. And one of them is the emotion connected to it, and the other one is the experience of it. And the more vividly we imagine that, the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real or what's vividly imagined. So if you think about that, Pete, we've all gone to the movies, and you know the actors aren't even there. There's no actors there. It's just light being bounced off a wall, you know, or a screen. But you laugh, you cry, you get scared, you get startled, you know, you get caught up in it. Because the brain, the reason that you're scared or excited or cry is because it doesn't know the difference between real or vividly imagined until you stop looking at the screen and you kind of look around the audience for a second. Then you disengage. But then as soon as you're watching the movie again, you get re-engaged. And that's why, Freddy Krueger can scare the daylights out of you, Even though we technically or consciously know it's not real, the subconscious mind doesn't.
It's an extremely powerful tool then that we have there, isn't it?
Yes, and then the other end of the spectrum is create as much perceived pleasure to the thought of actually changing. And again, go to the best case scenario, load it up so that now you have those two poles that rule our life, which is pleasure and pain. We move away from pain, we move towards pleasure. Boom, use both of them, one of them to get you to move forward and the other one to get you to move towards it, which is the pleasure.
Okay, so let's sort of go back to now. You've drawn the line in the sand, you've jumped over, you said, done, I'm done. Yep. Right, so we're talking about the pleasure and the pain now. What did you specifically do at the very beginning stage that got you, that first step, then that helped you get to the next step and the next step? What was the process that you went through for you?
Well, right then, Pete, is you got to start loading up your mind with as much positive personal development strategy as you can. Audios, DVDs, books, seminars, workshops, whatever you can go to, environment, people that you hang out with. Because what happens is Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich in 1937, said that the dormant mind is the devil's workshop. It will take over and start making stuff up and get you depressed again. So you got to make sure you fill that mind up with as much positive strategy as you can, and it's got to be consistent. Plus, you got to change your environment. You can't keep hanging out with depressed, angry, pissed off, negative people. You got to start hanging out with positive, happy, successful people if you can do that.
So for you specifically though, who were the people, who were the seminars, the CDs for you that you actually listened to and went to?
Oh, well, I was listening to a newcomer back then, a guy named Anthony Robbins. He had just written a book called Unlimited Power, which I read in 1984. And Tony, around the same time of the helicopter crash, just came out with the infomercial. But I had already read his other book, Awaken the Giant Within. Nobody really knew Tony in those days. I mean, his seminars used to have like 50 people in them. And I started listening to his audio programs, but also Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Napoleon Hill, Paulo Coelho, who wrote The Alchemist, Carlos Castaneda, who wrote the teachings of Don Juan Mateus, a Yaqui Indian shaman, and Dan Millman, Way of Peaceful Warrior. I mean, the list goes on and on. If you see my library, that's all it is personal development and things that are going to move my life forward.
Okay, so you went to those things, and that got you through that dark period. So
that's what you fill your brain with.
Yeah.
Then you got to take action on those strategies. Plus it doesn't happen overnight, Pete. I mean, like you don't plant an acorn and all of a sudden you got an oak tree the next day. It takes time. And just you got to water it and nurture it. Well, it's the same thing with your goals. It's the same thing with transformation. People go to a Tony Robbins seminar. They get so pumped up that by Monday they're quitting their job. And I go, wait. Before you jump in the pool, make sure there's water in it. You got to take the time to fill it up. Work on yourself. It's a step-by-step progression. Yet, when you are consistent with taking one step in front of the other, it does happen a lot faster than you would imagine. But what happens, Pete, is most people overestimate what they can do in the short term and underestimate what they can do in the long term. And this is a marathon, not a race. They go to the gym in January and they can't figure out why they're not a fatty to a six-pack abs overnight like the TV commercial promised them on the Zumba commercial, and they quit. But it's that guy who keeps going to the gym for half an hour, a couple days a week, and keeps doing it, and changes his eating, keeps doing it. All of a sudden, man, at the end of the year, you don't even recognize yourself. And so it's really what I call consistent daily improvement, CDI, consistent daily improvement. It's just making it a little bit better every day. And before you know it, man, real transformation has happened.
Okay, so now let's say you've gone through that. You're coming out of your dark period. How did you become a speaker? How did you begin to share your message with people back in the day? Because how long have you been doing this for? Like 30 years or something?
Yeah, like 30 years. I mean, I started actually in high school. I'll tell you a funny story that connects to that, Pete, is that, just so everybody gets it, is that because my wife sees me and people see me and they go, man, you make it look so easy and you must have been born naturally talented. And I go, yeah, I wish that's what happened. But let me, what you're not seeing is the pre-story, And that is, a couple years ago, I just won an award from my high school, Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame, which is quite prestigious because one of the people who won it is a United States astronaut who's been on the space station and helped fix the Hubble telescope in space, and a doctor who's like the front runner for cancer research and all these people, and then me. And which is kind of funny because it's the same school that almost expelled me a couple times. But it's because my speech teacher showed up because I was in speech class and also I joined the speech team back then. And I said, well, look what you did for me. And she goes, no, you sucked, Kurek. You sucked as a speaker. I don't even know how you got this good. And, she was right. And what happened, Pete, is I started speaking. I got myself booked for free engagements, whenever I could, and people literally said, you're by far the worst speaker I've ever seen. You suck. Some people who promised me a testimonial letter then refused. You suck. We'd never give you a testimonial letter. I watched videos of myself. I cried. I was so bad. But what happened, Pete, is I watched the videos over and over again to learn from them, It was painful originally. But then I started seeing like little 10 and 15-second bits of it that I did like. And I was like, wow, what was I doing differently there than the rest of it? And I found out that I was off the script. I wasn't trying to be anybody but myself. And I was talking about what I was passionate about. So all I did, Pete, was I started expanding on that. What I liked about it, obviously. And then I have a little process that I do after every speaking engagement, which is I ask 3 powerful questions, which is, number 1, what did I do great today? Now, there's no buts in that. So you don't go, I did this great, but, but erases everything that comes before the word but. So if you want to keep doing what you're doing great, well, a great way to do that is to actually make yourself aware of it. So you ask, what did I do great today? But also it makes you feel good. It encourages you. Then the next question is how can I make it better? Which is a strategy question. Well, whatever answers you get are obviously strategies. All you got to do is put them into action and you will get better. Then the next question is by what % did I improve by since the last presentation? And that, Pete, is so that, it encourages you to move forward, but also your brain starts seeing that progressively, every time you do a speaking engagement, you're getting better and better, and you're coming up with more and more strategies, and and now all of a sudden, I see myself on stage, because I can actually see myself in third person when I'm speaking. And I go, I'll be damned, you're actually really good, Kurek. You became that guy you dreamed about being one day, and now people look at you as one of those iconic speakers, and it's weird because it's kind of surreal because I still remember the guy I was, and now I know I am the guy that I am. And, it's okay. It's okay to say that you're great because you work at it. I didn't say I'm the best. I'm the best I can be, but I don't compete because only amateurs compete. Professionals create. I just work on myself, and I do it because I love speaking, and I love inspiring people's lives.
So it's kind of like playing guitar. You're doing your scales, you're practicing, you're going through the blisters, and then at some point you pick up a guitar and you can play, and then people are entertained by it, or they get something out of it, and then that's I can kind of connect with that a bit. Now, did you do any of the was there speaker coaching and speaker training stuff going on back then? Was that like there is today?
Not that I know of. There was a woman in LA. I went to her workshop. It was like $32 to attend, and there was like 20 people in the audience. And all it was how to promote yourself as a speaker. Her name was Susan Levin. And the funny thing is, I was being interviewed from a person in New York a couple months ago, and they asked me who got me started. And I said, Susan Levin. He goes, oh my God, I'm interviewing her next month. And, she had a thing called Speakers for Free, which was a little like, kind of like a little magazine she sent out once a month, and you paid to be in it and promote yourself. And then people booked you for free speaking engagements. Yeah. So you didn't get paid, but you got practice, and sometimes you get testimonial letters. And if you had any product to sell, you'd have the opportunity, which I didn't in those days. Didn't have any product or anything. But that was about the extent of it. She just really showed me about that you make your money as a speaker in the back end, the products you sell and, this and that. But again, it took me well over a decade past that before I ever had any products.
Really? So you're speaking for 10 years just because you liked sharing your message as opposed to just making anything?
My craft, and you got to remember, Pete, I was still in the movie industry, and I thought that's what I'm supposed to do until one day I woke up, and I asked myself, why is it that you resist so hard being a celebrity or getting the big jobs, but you still stay in the industry? Like, because being friends with John Travolta and Sylvester Stallone, I saw what really it's like to be a star. I've been friends with those guys since the early '80s, and I realized I didn't want that life. I don't want people photographing a pimple or a wrinkle or all that crazy stuff they do and following you around like terrorists. I didn't want that life. And so why am I still being in this industry? And I thought, well, that's a weird question. And when I came up with the answer, it was, well, I really wanted to be on stage inspiring people to follow their dreams, but I thought I had to get famous first to do that. And I realized that's a story. And so once I let go of the movie industry, my career just went through the roof because I was focused and I wasn't distracted.
Okay. Now, so you didn't have like formal speaker training. You just kind of looked at yourself and thought, what did I do great? What didn't I do? You asked yourself those questions. Well, not what didn't you do, but how you can improve. Now, let's sort of bring it up to closer to now. Like there's a lot of people out there now training speakers to become speakers, or people to become speakers, and then they go on to train. What's the state of the speaking industry in your opinion? Like, and if you can, man, I'd really like you to be totally candid, sure, and say whatever you need to say that you think, because no holds barred, basically, man. You have a free platform to just tell it how it is.
Well, I'm kind of that way, anyways, Pete.
I didn't expect anything else, but I just thought, if you might have that hesitation, but it's no need.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay out on anybody specifically, Pete, because I don't move myself forward by knocking others, so sure. That's not what I'm here for. Yeah. I will tell you, though, that it is irritating, when people have these speaker courses on how to succeed as a speaker, that they've never succeeded as a speaker themselves, or how to have a six-figure speaker industry payoff, or payday, but they've never been six-figure speakers themselves, or whatever that is, or seven figures, or and same with coaching programs. A lot of people come out of coaching programs that have no idea how to do a coaching business. And I go, what did they teach in that course? So there's a lot of shams out there. There's a lot of scams. But, you know, Pete, wherever there's money, there's going to be hustlers. So, you know, first, no matter what, I mean, I'm not the teacher for everybody either, and I'm certainly not Jesus Christ, is, you know, you got to look at your teacher first and go, well, do they actually have the result themselves for doing that? And I mean, not just because they have a course saying, I'm going to teach you how to be a great speaker and make a lot of money, and that's the course they teach that made them a lot of money. Yeah. Do they actually have a speaking career first, separate from that, that they're going to show you the way that they did it and be honest with it? Because not only do I show people the way I do it, but I also keep studying. You know, I go to workshops myself. I'm still studying the best of the best to give even more strategies to my own business. And then, yes, I turn around and teach that to people. But and there is a lot of great speaker training out there as well. And, you know, internet marketing and coaching and all this stuff. So there are good people out there. It's just that you have to, you know, don't get caught up in the hype and the promises. Is before you click the, you know, register now button or whatever, just, man, it's the internet. How easy is it to do some homework? And if you can't find information on your instructor who's teaching you how to be a great speaker or whatever that is in their speaking career, well, obviously they probably didn't have one. So it's not that hard. You know, you don't have to find bad stuff about them. But also, as you know, you do some research, you know, and you will, like, for instance, I got contacted by a church in England last year to want to hire me for a speaking engagement. I signed up, and all of a sudden, you know, they wanted money for a work permit and blah, 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 you know. Turned out to be a total scam. Total scam. Right. If I just would have done the homework and looked on the internet, it all over it. Man, it's a scam. You know, and they're going to ask you to do this. It cost me about $600. I think it was a valuable $600, and luckily I can afford that $600. And luckily it didn't go to the next payment thing that made me weary when all of a sudden they're saying, oh, by the way, we need this fund and whatever, you know, and I'm like, no, that ain't working. That ain't happening. So I did a search and got the information. This year I got contacted by a different church in England and go right to the search, and sure enough, it's a scam. So that's the power of it, Pete. And, you know, we got to, you know, don't feel bad if you get burned if you didn't do your homework.
So that's finding a mentor or a program that's going to help you get to that next level where you want to be. Yeah, do your homework first, I guess, is the important lesson. And if you learn that lesson now and do it rather than paying the money first, it's even better. Yeah, and again, you know, Pete, like when the women's beach volleyball team here in Australia asked me to coach them, I was actually homeless at the time. I didn't lie about that. I actually was pretty candid about the whole thing. But they didn't ask me for financial strategies. They asked me for strategies to take them to win gold medals at the Olympics, which I did, and we won the gold medals. So my point being is that, you know, before I was financially where I am today, I didn't teach financial strategies because I don't believe in that. I've had a person in New York ask me, you know, hey, I'm bankrupt, but I'm a wealth coach. Do you think that that's incongruent? I said, yes, actually it is. It's actually called fraud. But, you know, you do what you want to do. I go, how are you going to teach people to be wealthy if you're bankrupt? They go, well, I'm going to teach this process and blah, blah, blah. But did you make money that way? And they go, no. And I go, well, then you're not teaching what you do and what's the truth. And they go, well, I'm going to teach it anyways. And I go, okay, so what? You were waiting for me to support you in your lie or what? That's not going to happen. And God bless them, you know, if they want to teach that. For me, though, I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with being honest with an audience and saying, look, here's where I am, but that's not what I teach. What I'm going to teach you is this, you know, and teach something that you do. Same with the people that were going for speaker training or coaching training or author training, whatever it is. Find people who have real results before you sign up to their course because they actually know the path because they've done it themselves. Okay, so why did the volleyball team come to you then? What was it about you? How did they even know you to say, hey, you're the one who's going to help us?
Well, I was giving a free seminar in Brisbane. I was doing 5 free seminars a day, 6 days a week to try to promote a paid seminar that I was trying to make some money with, you know. And I was at this seminar in Brisbane, I didn't know who was in the audience. And I, for the first time in my life, said, who here remembers the person who stands on the third box at the Olympics? Anybody ever rush out to buy a bronze medalist book thinking, oh, gee, how'd you get third at the Olympics? Anyways, girl stands up after the workshop. And she said, hi, how are you? And I said, I'm fine. How are you? And she goes, I was on the third box at the Olympics. I go, what? She goes, I'm Natalie Cook, bronze medalist, beach volleyball player. I'm like, oh, ma'am, I wasn't picking on you. And I said, well, you're a pretty big girl, too, I can see. Please don't get pissed off. And she said, no. The reason I'm upset is everything you said today was true. And she said, I know you got the skills and tools I need to get me what I want, which is a gold medal in Sydney. Will you be our success coach and take us on the journey? I said, yes. And they walked away, and I was like, oh, my God, what did I just get myself into? I got no idea what I'm doing here, you know. I've never done this journey before. But then I said, Pete, I said, hey, Kurek, you know what? Just shut up. It's one step at a time. Figure out what the first step is, and that will show you what the second step is, and that will show you what the next step is, and you'll figure it out. That's what coaching's all about. You know, knowing the whole path is ridiculous, because my saying is, if you want to make God laugh, you'll tell him your plans. You know, it doesn't always turn out that way. But if you know what the first step is and you really follow through and do that step, complete it, the second step gets revealed, and then the next step, and the next step, and now you're in motion, and you wind up creating momentum. And, you know, since then, Pete, every sports team, every professional athlete that I've worked with, all have won. And it's a pretty big stable of clients I've had. And it's because, number one, I choose winners. I choose those people who are willing to do those steps that we're talking about, who face their own fear, they face their doubt, they face their insecurity, because we all got it, but they learn how to manage it and move forward in spite of it. And see, that's the difference between a champion and everybody else on the planet.
Okay, so for each one of those, since the gold medal winning beach volleyball team, since that was your first sporting one, and from there you learned strategies there that you could take into the next situation that came about, and then so on and so on.
Yeah, and you got to be flexible. You know, Bruce Lee, the legendary martial artist, said, you know, be the water. Take the shape of what you get poured into. You know, be flexible. And so, you know, I worked with the Broncos that year. They won the premiership. If you look at their track record, obviously I've not worked with them since then. Susie O'Neill went to the world record for swimming. I worked with golfers, swimmers, football players, football teams, rowing teams, dragon boat racing teams. You know, list goes on and on. I don't know most of those sports, nor am I proficient at them, but I don't need to. What I need is to work on where people's skills, where their head is, because where your head goes, your body follows.
So that's an interesting situation there that, yeah, you're not a rower, yet you can coach a person to row better. So how does that work? Like, what are you working on with someone if you haven't done that thing before? Like, you're working on their mindset, I guess. Is that?
Yep. And, you know, because, Pete, the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our communication. And the quality of our communication is determined by the quality of questions that we ask ourselves. And so first, it's how do you communicate with yourself, and then how do you communicate with others? But you won't communicate differently with others until you communicate differently with yourself. And when we communicate differently, well, we respond different to that different communication, which means act different, and every new action creates a new result. So as you see, it's everything. You know, when you learn how to think differently, because our life right now is a byproduct of how we consistently think and the questions we consistently ask ourselves. When you change the way you think consistently and you change the questions you ask consistently, you get a different life and you get different results. And that's really what I work on. I wish it was that I was such a genius or that it was me, but it's actually not, Pete, because the thing is, you got to have a framework for people to follow, you know, a real step-by-step strategy, because they have to do it for themselves. I can't do it for them. All I can do is teach them, show them the way, and then as a coach, hold them accountable to actually do it. And that's why I've gotten the results I get.
Okay, so now we'll sort of fast forward into your speaking career now. So you're working with they're like your personal clients. You're working with these people one-on-one and in their little groups and everything. So are you out there now on stages still speaking and doing events and stuff like that? Like, how does that look for you?
I do close to 100 events a year, all over the world. I work in 17 countries. Like I said, I was just in Kuwait if I can share with this is more of a personal thing than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Here they have me in Kuwait, literally in the middle of the desert, in a big Alibaba tent. You know, and the sand is all covered in Persian rugs, and it's decked out. They got chairs, tables. They got the big screen behind me. They're catering lunch for everybody. There was about 350 people. All the men were in like sheik's outfit, you know, the headdress and the long kind of gown thing, you know, because to them that's like a business suit. Yeah. Some women were in burqas, and here I am, you know, in the middle of Kuwait giving a seminar, and I got the highest rating of any speaker they've ever brought in, which was really an honor, but also blew me out of water. But I'm thinking, man, who gets the opportunity to do this? Like, how cool has my life become where I'm in demand at a level where I'm being called to fly to Kuwait? But also that my public seminars, we have a brand new one called Super Successful Speaker, Author, Coach, which funny enough is training people to be successful in those areas. But it's a much different than other workshops. It's a workshop. It's not a seminar. It's hands-on. You're going to build it in a room. You're going to do it in a room. You're going to learn all kinds of stuff, secrets, tricks that I've used, marketing. What do you say? What do you put in the presentation? I have some very powerful guest speakers coming in, and it's a workshop, so it's very intimate. We're not allowing a lot of people into it. It's just so that the people who come are serious about what they want to do. And I made a big offer to them. The first 25 people are going to get 6 months of coaching with me for free, which is $10,000 each, through a group that I'm building, a group coaching, which we were going to actually sell at the program. But I decided, you know what, let's put my money where my mouth is and produce the results, because that's really what I do. I'm more of a, speaking is, you know, it's something I do, but I'm a coach. I don't teach fluff and I don't teach motivation. But my job is to really facilitate change in people. And that's what I'm very clear on my outcome. So that's why I've said, okay, first 25 people who put their money where their mouth is, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm pound for pound. I'll coach them for the next 6 months in the group format. And there we go.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. Now,
so that's April 26th through the 28th.
So what's that? Is there a website someone can go to find that?
If you go to kurekashley.com and you look for seminars, you'll see that it's on there. And also, if you sign up for my free training workshops, which are on the workshop, you'll be on a mailing list and you'll find out about it. It's quite easy. As you know, Pete, I didn't really get on the call with you today to be promotion.
No, that's right. No, that's cool. Like, I'm happy for people to find out where you are, though.
Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate it. But I just want to make sure that I don't turn people off because they go, "Oh yeah, he's just turning around trying to sell something." If they want to go and they're interested, kurekashley.com. It's easy enough to find out where I am.
Excellent, man. Now, what's exciting you about? You've been in this industry 30 years, so you've seen it from the beginning. You know, like to now, where we've got the internet, we've got so much connection with people. What's exciting you currently about how you can be better in your industry and how you can connect with people?
Well, you know, Pete, you hit the nail on the head. Is the internet? Oh my goodness! You know, where in the world? What time in life could you have 2 billion people walk by your storefront? You know, I mean, it's an unbelievable time of life, and people go, well, but you know, everybody's already doing it and selling out. And I go, man, you don't even pay attention to this truth. Is that they say the internet's going to double in size, in population, the next 2 years. You know, you got China being the #1 buyer of iPhones. You know, now wait a minute, these people are living out in rice fields and provinces and poverty. Well, no, that's not true anymore, because now they're learning to outsource. So they're learning how to build websites and do graphic art and all the stuff that they can outsource over the internet and charge less for. Well, all of a sudden they're becoming consumers because they're making money like they never made before anymore. And they want more information. They want more strategies. They want more help. India, you know, I mean, again, another place where people were making 80 cents a week are now making $18 an hour, you know, which is wealth to them, you know. Well, the internet's growing, and you know the technology has come up now where how to build a website and how to internet market and all, it's all out there, man. You can learn that. People will literally teach you step by step, thing by thing. Yes, there's a lot of scammers and you know, okay, but weed them out, find the good ones, which I've done, and then because you can do video where it's not digitized and it's not buffering every 2 seconds and it's not, it's flowing. You can connect with an audience who's never met you before through your website, through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through, databases and networking with other people and newsletters and all that, just the forums and, before, where people can watch you and get a real experience of you. And that's why I say, don't get on there and sound like Johnny game show host, you're all plastic and phony and trying to say the right thing. Is be genuine, be authentic. Because if you want to be an authority in your field, you got to be authentic first, because your audience will see through you so fast. And if they don't, somebody else will, and then it will be on the internet, and now it's done. It's that fast. Like your inappropriateness will also be all over the internet. So, be you and be genuine. And if you trip during a video, who cares? Correct yourself. If it's a big one, edit it. It's not that big a deal, But the nerves, because it's not a performance, it's a presentation. I'm not speaking so people judge me to go, hey, give them the Academy Award or the Best Speaker Award. I'm here to share a message that I have in my heart. And I want to be paid for it. And the reason being is so I don't have to go work another job to pay for my speaking or my coaching. It's all done at one. And the internet these days, like if you go to my website and you see the videos I'm giving away, it's real value. There's no sales pitch. There's no, trying to hook you into stuff. Because I believe that caring is called currency. When you really care about people and you really add value to them, they go, man, this guy's so good with what he gives away. I'd like to go read his book, or I'd like to go to his workshop, or I'd like to buy an audio program, because, man, if this is good, the free stuff, just imagine what the paid stuff's like. And that's really what happens. But you've created a connection first. Pete, today alone, I've taken 200 new people into my database who've registered for the free training videos. And it's all coming from people who've signed up to be referral partners with me, who like what I offer so much that they're just sending it out to their list saying, get the 3 free videos. But those are 200 new people that have never had an experience with me before, never knew me before, who are obviously saying, man, I like this guy. Let's check out what he does. But now you have the opportunity to market them in an appropriate way, which, that's a whole different subject right now. But because they have regular contact with you, is that now that you can let them know about your workshops and your book and your audio programs and the rest of those things.
I think that the term for that is permission marketing. They've given you, hey, look, I want to hear more, and then say, yeah, cool, no worries, and then
absolutely
give them more.
And Pete, the criteria for everything you give away, start with giving away value first, and and that's what's called an opt-in page, where they put in their details to get the free training. Got it. Look, they know what they're doing. You know what you're doing. They're putting their details in so they be on your niche list, your marketing list, but also you're giving them real value. And the criteria should be is that, man, that thing I'm giving away, it's so good that I could have charged for that. That's how good that is. And if you can honestly say that, the person receiving is going, oh my God, this is awesome. This guy's not holding anything back. And if you're going to go, but why would I give it away if I could sell it? Well, who are you going to sell it to if you got nobody on your list? So there's a win-win here, and you got to. It's a marathon, not a race, not a get-rich-quick thing. It's about building real, caring relationships with people and connection, because people do business with people they feel connected to, and that's why it's got to be genuine, Pete. And if you do an internet search of my name, somebody told me the other day like 80,000 pages come up now, and not one person talks about how I ripped them off or how the product wasn't quality and they wanted a refund and I didn't give it back to them, and none of that stuff. That's 30 years I've been doing this.
I was actually going to say that. You've been doing this 30 years and there's so much content out there. These days, yeah, if you're doing dodgy, then it's going to be found out. So, yeah, you must be doing something right, man.
Because I really care, Pete. And also is, you know what? I'm okay with just being me. I don't need to be better than me. I don't need to be some polished. If you notice my diction, it's not perfect. I do have a strong Chicago accent. I live in Australia for 16 years now. I don't sound Australian. Oh, well. You know, I don't have a religion. I got tattoos. I wear an earring. You know, I mean, I'm not Johnny polished game show host. But because people get that I'm a real guy, I've really been through life, and I have real strategies that work, that's what people get. You know, and God bless Tony Robbins. But, you know, Tony's become a guy who's bigger than life. He's not attainable anymore. People look at him and go, well, of course you can do it, Tony. You're Tony Robbins. You know, you're right up there with Thor and Hercules and stuff. You know, you're a Nordic god or something. I know Tony personally. He's a real guy, but his image these days is not real anymore. And I'm not insulting him. Look, he makes a lot of money and he's great at doing what he does. That's not what I do. But my point being is you don't have to be Tony Robbins to be successful in this industry. You know, you can be a person who has a personal life and isn't a celebrity, if that's okay with you, and have a long, sustained, very lucrative career where, you know, yeah, I get stopped in airports and on planes. Oh, I read your book and changed my life, and I get emails every day and Facebook. It's awesome, but I also have a real life, Pete. You know, I have a real family. I walk on the street. Nobody, you know, attacks me. You know, I mean, if they come up to you, they come up to you really politely. That's the life I designed for myself, and that's what I have.
So, and that's, yeah, like you're saying too, to get out of the movie business, you didn't want all that kind of stuff anyway. But so when it happens, yeah, it's for a very different reason.
Well, and yeah, Pete, the last thing you want is leave the movie industry for one cause and then get in my speaking industry and go right into the nightmare I was trying to avoid. Yeah. And, you know, like I just saw Tony a couple of years ago. My wife wanted to see him when he was in Sydney, so I arranged with the promoter to get him some tickets. Tony heard from his CEO and another person that I was in Sydney at the time, and would I come see him after the workshop? Because it's been like 11 years since we last saw each other. And, you know, I went backstage, and Tony was super proud of me. He said, oh, my God, man, there's not a place I go in the world I don't hear your name come up. Mm-hmm. And your book is awesome, and God bless you. And he goes, you're one of those people who actually went and did what you said you were going to go do. And, you know, kudos to you. And he said, hey, you wouldn't mind getting people to stop wearing your Firewalk T-shirts at my seminars, would you? I go, what, do you think I got control over that? And he goes, nah, I'm just kidding. But, man, they love wearing those shirts of yours, you know?
Yeah.
Well, God bless you, Tony. You know, he gave me a big hug. And, you know, if that was my last time that we see each other, it was a great way to end it. And if we ever do see each other again, I'm grateful to Tony Robbins. Man, he opened up personal development into the everyday household, you know, like nobody else has ever done before, and opened doors for all of us in the speaking, coaching, and author industry on a mainstream level. So, you know, God bless him. And I'm not knocking him. It's just that that's not the life I want for myself. But I also want to let people know you don't have to be him to still be successful.
Excellent, man. I think that's an awesome note to leave this on. So, man, you've just delivered a ton of value. It's even more than I thought you would, man. So thanks so much for coming on and speaking with us.
My pleasure. And if you ever want me again, you know, and I'd love to see you in person when I get to be in Sydney soon. I'm not sure when that is, but, you know, if you ever come to Sunshine Coast, come hang out.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Meet you pound for pound. I'm glad you're reading the book.
Yeah, man. It's keeping me up at night, like I said.
Okay. I hope that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. All right, man. You make it a great time. It's Easter, just at the making of this video, guys. So, guys, go and check out his link. Go to visit his website, kurekashley.com, and yeah, opt into the list, get those free videos, do all that good stuff, and yeah, I'm sure you'll love his material as much as I do. So, thanks again, Kurek. You've been a great guest.
Thanks, Pete.